Gloria Ladson-Billings also had another article that was entitled something like Culturally Relevant Pedagogy, Isn't It Just Good Teaching? And so for me, this is a phenomenal issue because the question of whether we all need to be culturally relevant pedagogues, and that it's not something that's just for marginalized students, but this is for every student, is I think where I am right now. And so I would use some work from Haberman, and he wrote a little tiny article in Phi Delta Kappan called A Pedagogy of Poverty versus Good Teaching. And so taking up Gloria Ladson-Billings' notion that, probably culturally relevant pedagogy is really just good teaching, and then what is the nature of good teaching? I think Haberman fills in that gap by showing, on the one hand, the kinds of acts that teachers are involved in that looks like teaching. So teachers are grading papers, they're making assignments, they're doing disciplinary acts, they're grading homework, they're leading instruction in front of the room. And if you were to walk into a classroom and you see a teacher doing this, it looks like the teacher is doing what we consider to be teaching. Haberman says no, that good teaching involves when students are involved with big ideas, when students are involved with general principles, when students are involved with understanding human differences, when students are involved with issues of fairness and equity, when students are involved in active learning, when they're involved in collaborative learning, when they're involved in reflective activities, when they're involved in perfecting their work and polishing their work, that these are indications that good teaching is going on. But in each of these instances, what you will often see is that the role of the teacher has been decentered in terms of those acts, those visible acts of what's going on in the classroom, and it shifts the focus to what has the teacher designed prior to going into the classroom. And when you go into a classroom where really good teaching is going on, it might look like the teacher is not doing that much. They're walking around to different groups, they're having instructional conversations here and there, students may be coming up and asking them questions, but it looks like, why are we paying this person to just sort of be the monitor for the classroom? But what we don't understand is that the design for that kind of powerful engaged learning has already taken place prior to the class starting. And what we're seeing is the implementation of that design. So it doesn't, and for us who are engaged with, trying to transform teaching and learning, we have to be aware that what we traditionally think of as teaching and learning often is 20th century and 19th century notions of what teaching and learning should really be about. What are the challenges for teaching and learning in the 21st century, where kids are going to be taxed to, and have the tools to make meaning in phenomenally different ways from the sort of text-based orientations that we had back then?